don't get caught in the dumpster fire. The dumpster fire today, however, is not what you might think it is. It's going to be Ethereum Bitcoin here as we do revisit this one for the first time in a while, as it does play at the old LARP lines, coming down to just under 5.5 million Satoshis, which was a very, very long-term target for this one. However, as we're going to be going over, things do get a little bit complicated from here. So I wanted to make this video before these next sort of events likely occur. We'll go over a little bit of Bitcoin as well. And then other than that, I just want to welcome you back to the Air Crown Crypto channel. It's a nice little Thursday morning over here. Thursday, typically the worst day for Bitcoin, but we're going to be going over that as well. So let's just get right into it, starting off right over here with our first chart of the day, which is Ethereum Bitcoin. So Ethereum Bitcoin, I'll just put on my drawing tools right here. We were looking at this one as likely to come down all the way back to those June-ish lows of 2022, which, by the way, were the lows thus far, even though, of course, not December, but November of 2022 was like the lows for the general market. Anyways, in this case, you can see the LARP lines just slowly coming to fruition right there. And now, yes, indeed, we do have not just a retest of these lows from July of 2022, but also the white 200 moving average on the weekly time frame is being met with flying colors in this case. So just based off of that, I would be looking for a bounce within this region. This one's been beat up pretty damn heavily. It really doesn't have any sort of a any sort of a reasonable bounce on a weekly time frame since June. So it's almost been 5 months now. It's been about 5 months of just basically down only, and realistically the down only started right in over here, but of course there were bounces along the way. This portion over here is when things got really nasty, and when we started to increase the resolve of, hey, this one's coming down, is probably going to be coming down hard. Anyways, in this case, this is where I want to reference the title yet again. Don't get caught in the dumpster fire. While this one does bounce here, you're probably going to see a lot of people screaming that this is like the low, and all the stupid Bitcoin maximalists are talking about Ethereum Bitcoin crashing down, and they're missing the low. They're just missing the low because they're mad that they didn't accumulate even lower. Well, fair enough. Maybe that's true. But before we get into that, I should also show why I think it's going to bounce here. Sorry. But on the daily time frame for the HPDR bands, it is coming to the bottom side of the current 50% range low, has found a few wicks within this region. It might get another wick a little bit lower, but I do think that this one's generally ready for a bounce in the coming weeks here. But that coming bounce is not to be confused with a reversal. This one has done very, very long-term massive damage, really confirming the quarterly look that I had on this one for the past year and a half now, going back to summer of 2022, in the sense that this one is basically just got rejected at the multi-year high of April 2018 on the break, that big breakdown that occurred from 2 market cycles ago. And, after something like that, it's likely to retrace more. If this is a low and this is a high, the next low is probably not here. This is really all one complex high, as far as I'm concerned. Again, if we do go to the quarterly now that we are here, yeah, it's coming off the 21 exponential average. That is the yellow moving average right there. But again, I do think it bounced here. I don't think it's going to reverse here on the macro scales we'll go over. So going back to the weekly, how high can this thing bounce? It could bounce, pretty significantly, even up into 6.5 million Satoshi region, back around this breakdown area right here, and put in yet another lower high. I would say that this one is just generally long-term macro bearish, especially as long as it's below 6.9 to 7 million Satoshis, which is a pretty damn long far away, It's pretty far away. That's what I'm trying to say. So Ethereum Bitcoin pair would have to do a lot in that case. Again, this is not a commentary on Ethereum USD. That is more or less likely going to do what Bitcoin does, but just in a less strong way. So I'm not trying to hate on Ethereum here, but I do think that it kind of represents the general trajectory of most altcoins in this market, and it would imply that, yeah, there's still some bearishness to go after likely an altcoin or a Bitcoin or an altcoin Bitcoin bounce here, altcoin Bitcoin pair bounce. I'm not saying that altcoins and Bitcoins are going to bounce versus US dollar. This is not a commentary on that as of right now. I actually don't have really strong opinions on that right now. Kind of a difficult situation right there. Anyway, so yes, we've gone through that. White 200 simple on the weekly, and then daily 50% range low. And then also if we go over here to our stochastic momentum, we can see that the weekly stochastic oscillator, yeah, it's still positioned to the downside and remains with downside pressure below about 5.5 million satoshis. But coming off of this region right here, it's going to be very difficult to keep momentum this low for much longer. Generally speaking, these areas are nice bouncy regions, which we can see the last couple times that we did see these sort of regions. Actually, there's one more right here. Met on the weekly stochastic oscillator. It did beget, a decent bounce. Something like this, kind of what I'd be looking for. And this was a 20% plus bounce. This one over here significantly more at 60%. I don't think that's what it's going to be getting. This one over here about 15%. So ultimately, likely to bounce. Maybe one more stab a little bit lower, might go down to like 5.2 million satoshis. That's fine, but ultimately, in a bounce territory here, and then the rollover likely after that is going to be the big one. And when I say the big one, I mean this one can come down significantly more. Next area of interest would be the 382 fib, taking the high from the current. I don't know if you call this cycle, but I guess actually kind of current cycle rally right here to the prior lows of 2019. That would be the 382 and also the bi-weekly 200 simp moving average. Likely going to be another bounce region, but kind of same thing right there. At that point, this is really confirmed as a macro top, and I think that this one will at least see the 50% retracement here. Again, this is going to take a long time. This is going to take 6 months, maybe even a year. It could take a very, very long time for this move to occur, but we've been going over this for the past year and a half, and well, patience has been a virtue on this one. And then, of course, the next major area of interest, in my opinion, maybe even a macro low would be somewhere around the 618 at 3.2 million satoshis. But for right now, things do look pretty nasty on the higher term time frames. Going over here to the monthly, it's going to have a chance to actually break below the green 55 at the end of this month. I think it probably bounced before then, so it probably reclaims. But maybe November, December, especially if Bitcoin rallies again, that's going to look really, really bad for Ethereum Bitcoin pair, I do believe. Also on top of that, if we go over here to the higher term time frame stochastic momentum, monthly is just nosediving, coming off of that head and shoulders right here, deeply inside the bearish control zone. And what happened the last time we saw this one actually break into the bearish control zone? Well, that would be, let me actually zero in right here first. Okay, right about there's where I would say, let's go a little bit further. Yeah, and that was, actually really starting at the last capitulation, coming off of September 2018 all the way into the lows in September of 2019. So it took about a year for that to really formulate. I do have this LARP line in here as well. Maybe that's an area of interest to the downside at 4.5 million satoshis. These things do seem to work out on very high term time frame for what it's worth. Not that I'm a big fan of it, but fair enough. And then, of course, we go to, I believe, the bi-monthly. It is really accelerating right there. Remains with downside momentum below about 7.8 million satoshis. Might as well be 8 million satoshis. And quarterly is also fresh down as well, below 6.5. So, it's long term, while this one does bounce, assuming that it doesn't reclaim any one of the critical regions that we spoke about, I am looking for that move to occur probably within the next year to 6 months to a year. So it will take some time, but it is what it is. Anyways, yes, we've gone through that. Let's go into Bitcoin now. Bitcoin, as always, Thursday is the most likely to be bearish day. It has the most negative closures at 35.42%. Of all Thursdays have closed negatively. The average return on those negative closures has been 1.85%. So, looking at it right here, what would that look like? Wouldn't look like much, actually. Put Bitcoin back down around about 27.8. I don't really have strong opinions on Bitcoin right now. It did kind of crack through the area that I was looking at yesterday, but not in a really convincing way. This is actually a different chart right here. Looking at the index, we can see that the top side of the current 50% range high is 28.8, still kind of range bound here. And we did see this one step down. So I'm inclined to say that it probably does trade sideways for another day. Going down to the 4-hour time frame, do we see anything of particular note? It does show current bottom side of the short-term range at 28, basically just over $28,000. Again, no real strong opinions on this one as of right now. My strong opinions are on the very high-term time frames, in the sense that, hey, if this one were to come back down to like $26,000 base, that's an opportunity. In my opinion, I think that this one just generally between about 29 and 26 is very constructive long term, and this can take a long time as well. I mean, this could very easily be something like this. But I suppose, the scenario that we spoke about earlier, or sorry, not earlier, but yesterday, is still very much available. This could be a bump and run here. But we would really not expect this one to come down below about $28,000 on a daily closing basis. It really need to run from this area. I would say no later than maybe next Tuesday. Would probably make about sense, and at that point you should be seeing $30,000 plus. So if that is going to happen, that should happen within about a week, a little bit less than a week perhaps. I'm just not really convinced by what's going on right here either way. So we can go through stochastic momentum as well for Bitcoin. I don't know how helpful it's going to be, but starting off with the weekly, it's going to obviously remain to the upside as long as Bitcoin's above 26.1. 5-day time frame, there's no update there, so we don't need to talk about it. 2-day time frame closed tonight, so no update there, but current pivot is 29. Until then, downside actually. Daily time frame remains up above 27.1. So that is a little bit new, I guess. 12-hour time frame going to be down below 28.9. This is just not going to be helpful. 6-hour time frame going to be showing 28.5. 4-hour time frame going to be showing down below 28.5, and hourly going to be showing fresh down below 28.4. I'm not really getting much from this, to be honest. So I'm inclined to say that, I really have no strong opinions of Bitcoin, on Bitcoin. My only opinion would be on this, hey, if it is going to be a down day, this would be the most likely day for that on Thursday. Friday's kind of a coin tossed. It's a coin toss. Yeah, I'm just going to leave things right there. I think the main focus today was on Ethereum, Bitcoin. Ethereum US dollar, a little bit different, however, I should say, before we go. A little bit different here. Is this one forming a low at around 15.25 or so? I mean, it's still holding 15.50, which was one of the major areas that we had. I would even say that this one actually probably is putting a low here. I think it probably is, just personal opinion at the 382 here. But of course, that's all contingent upon, no closures below these wick lows here, which is 15.25 basically. So I think I'll leave things right there. Just the main focus today is on Ethereum, Bitcoin. Probably going to bounce in the more near term. That bounce probably going to be another lower high. Probably going to be the last chance for a long time, in my opinion, unless if something drastically changes. But yeah, that's going to do it for today. As always, I want to wish you the best. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully Friday.